What's going on, guys? This is Ryan with RK Outpost, and May 25th is and always will be Star Wars Day. It might not seem that way because Disney has made it so they would rather push a meme holiday, May the 4th, than something that actually means something to true George Lucas Star Wars, and that is May 25th. May 25th is the day that Star Wars first came out in theaters and will forever be known as Star Wars Day. So on May 25th, I'm deciding to fulfill a promise that I should have done a long time ago, because as a lot of you know, I'm a big fan of the Star Wars expanded universe. And one thing that I did over a year ago was I started a few book reviews on one of my favorite Star Wars expanded universe book series. That's the Darth Bane trilogy. You can see here, a long time ago, over a year ago, I did the expanded universe book review for Path of Destruction and also for Rule of Two. Well, the time has finally come that I'm going to do what I should have done a while ago and finally complete this book review trilogy, because I wanted to do something that meant something to true original Star Wars as opposed to this May the 4th nonsense. We're going to celebrate May 25th by doing something that I think is a great Star Wars story that everyone should read, and that is the completion of the Darth Bane trilogy. Now, I am going to be getting into a few spoilers. It's not going to be a super in-depth review, but I do kind of want to give my thoughts on this book. Now, I talked about how we did the first couple book reviews. The first one is incredible. I really think that Path of Destruction is one of the best Star Wars novels to ever be written. I really enjoy it. The second one, I feel like you can kind of tell that it was rushed out there, and it's not up to the same level. This one is right in between. This one really is. It's a really good, really solid book. It does suffer from a few things. Like at some points, I'm thinking, really, is this how small this universe actually is? But all in all, it's a good story and a really good conclusion to this trilogy. I wish we could have got more, but we'll talk about that when we get into the review. So, spoiler alert, this is your moment. This is the last chance you have. We're going to get into this book. When you look at the Darth Bane series, the first book is really about Darth Bane and him growing to understand the dark side, understand what it means to be a Sith, and ultimately set upon the downfall of the rest of the Sith. So he is the last one standing because he knows that the rule of two is the best way for the Sith moving forward. In this second book, you see him really start training an apprentice, really start getting into the rule of two, someone who's going to pass all of his knowledge down to, who can eventually rise up and defeat him. Well, this third book is obviously about that encounter between Darth Zana and Darth Bane. And when we first get into it, Darth Bane is wondering, is Zana ever going to realize that she needs to stand up and face him when he is at his powers, or is she just going to sit there and let him wither away? This is what Darth Bane is thinking. So Darth Bane takes it upon himself that his apprentice, he didn't train her right. Maybe she wasn't up to the task. He needs to find someone different to carry on his legacy, but he needs to extend his life because the dark side is ravaging his body. So he sets about trying to find the key to eternal life, and that will eventually be through essence transfer. He goes on to find the holocron of Darth Undedu. One of my problems with this book is that when he does find Darth Undedu's holocron, it's way too easy, honestly. I feel like that could have really been fleshed out more. It was very easy for him to walk in and do that. I thought it should have been a little more difficult. But Zana, on the other hand, although Bane thinks that she might not be up to the task, she actually has been extremely patiently waiting for the right moment, because Darth Bane taught her that patience is a very valuable thing to the Sith when they're trying to stay undercover, when they're trying to not be recognized, that patience is a virtue, and she's hoping to be rewarded by that. And so as Darth Bane is trying to find the key to eternal life and continue his reign without Darth Zana, Zana is trying to find an apprentice of her own in order to actually be ready so that when she does face him, she will have an apprentice ready to train, continue on the rule of two. That ends up being Set Hart. Set Hart, a fallen Jedi who's kind of a scumbag, kind of a ladies' man, at least so he thinks, and is really just drawn to power. That's what he's drawn to, but he's really not cut out to be a Sith. He never really was, at least it doesn't seem that way. But Zana is kind of in a bind. She kind of just wants to find somebody and ignores all the warning signs and uses Set Hart as that Jedi. Now, we have another story that's going on. This is one of the things I also don't like about this book. You have a story about this essentially princess named Sarah, who was married into the family, and her head of security, Lucia. One of the things that I don't like about this book is it really makes the universe seem small, because it turns out that Sarah is the daughter of the healer that we saw in these first two books. And her bodyguard happens to be one of the Gloomwalkers that was part of Darth Bane's command, part of Darth Bane's Imperial Army command before he became a Sith. So you have these two people who have had interactions with Bane before, and they are very much intertwined. They are very close, and Sarah finds out that she thinks Darth Bane is the one who actually killed her father. Not exactly what happened, but that's what she thinks. She ends up hiring this assassin, this Itachi assassin who has this unique ability to kind of dampen any Force users' abilities around her. She ends up capturing Darth Bane before Zana can go and face her. So now you have Sarah, the one who has an axe to grind, and Lucia, who realizes who this person is. Oh, this is this person I used to know before they were a Sith Lord. So it's this strange dichotomy of all these people that are involved. The universe just seems way too small. So Zana needs to mount a rescue operation for her master so she can go fight her master to claim the leadership in the rule of two. So really all along this entire book, you have Bane sitting there uncertain about if the rule of two, if he did it the right way, if his apprentice will be able to eventually unseat him, or if he's gonna have to do the entire thing by himself. And then you also have Zana sitting there saying, well, maybe I made a mistake not doing this sooner. Both of them are bitter about each other not doing it the way they felt like they should, like the rule of two should have been handled. But at the end of this book, you have the last third or so dedicated to Bane being imprisoned with Sarah, Lucia, and the Huntress, this Itachi assassin. Again, who's never had any formal training in the Force, but is hanging around because she feels Darth Bane's power. She can sense the future, and she knows that there's going to be something big that goes down. And then you have Zana and Set, the reluctant apprentice, having to come and try to rescue Bane so that she can ultimately face him and really take on the mantle of Master of the Sith. What ends up happening is Lucia feels this indebtedness, feels this responsibility that since Bane kept her alive, did so many things during the war with the Imperial troops, the Gloomwalkers, Lucia frees him, hoping that he'll just go. That's not exactly what happens. What ends up happening is that Bane causes mass havoc. Lucia ends up getting killed in this process, not by Bane, but by, I think Zana actually might have done it. She might have blown a door open, something like that, and Lucia just goes flying. Her body gets absolutely mangled, and there's this confrontation between Zana and Bane, who doesn't know that Bane doesn't have a lightsaber, but he's able to trick her and keep her on her heels long enough that he's able to make an escape. While he's escaping, the Huntress, the Itachi assassin, pledges herself to Darth Bane. Darth Bane thinks he might have a new apprentice on his hands. Sarah ends up making her escape and going to Ambria, the planet where she's from, the planet where her father, Caleb, the healer, ended up getting killed by Zana and Darth Bane. More so Zana than Darth Bane. And Bane realizes that this is where she's headed because the Itachi assassin, the Huntress, reveals that this is where she saw all the visions of him and Zana dueling. Sometimes he won, sometimes Zana won, but the Huntress knew she wanted to be around to see the finale. So he goes there. The Huntress kills Sarah after some speech. Basically, Bane just saying everybody's weak. If you don't have the guts to do this, you're fucking weak because Darth Bane is a badass. Zana, who had been abandoned by Set Heart, who actually made off with Enderu's holocron. Very interesting. We could have seen that in the future, but that story has yet to be told. Is sitting there wondering what she could do. Was this the last chance she had? Gets an incoming message saying, hey, meet me at Ambria. Let's do this thing. And we finally have the confrontation we've all been waiting for. Darth Zana versus Darth Bane. And it doesn't go on too long, but it is interesting. We know that Darth Zana is very much into Sith sorcery. One of the things that Bane, he provoked her into using her physical skills as opposed to her sorcery in that confrontation when he did not have his lightsaber. But this time, she is ready with all of her tricks. She almost gets struck down by Bane until she uses some Sith sorcery. Actually ends up like cutting off his arm with these shadows. It's pretty insane, almost turns him insane. Bane realizes that he only has one chance left, and he invokes what he had learned from Darth Enderu's holocron, the essence transfer, and kind of surprises Zana because she was not ready for it. And you go through this back and forth of her fighting against his will, him fighting against her will, him trying to take over Darth Zana's body. And at the end, you see Zana standing there, at least Zana's body, and you don't really know who won or who lost. And eventually the Huntress kind of walks towards Zana, because she realizes kind of what's happened. And Zana even has this little twitch in her hand that Bane had earlier, before he knew that was one of the signs that his body was starting to fail him, this twitch that he had in his hand. Zana has that twitch now. And the Huntress says, Lord Bane? And she says, no, I'm Darth Zana. And essentially takes the Huntress as her own apprentice, would go on to be known as Darth Cognis. And that's where it ends up. That is the trilogy of Darth Bane. I really do enjoy this book. I would say if I were to give it a rating, it would be somewhere around a 7.5 or an 8 out of 10. Really, really good. Suffers from a few things. Like I said, the world seems a little bit small. There were things that I was like, come on, really? Like, these people somehow came to meet and they somehow found Darth Bane this way? It's a little too much convenience for me. That's a problem sometimes when I'm reading these stories. But nonetheless, very well done. It was a controversy because it was not explained in the book that Zana had won. It was actually an interview later with Drew Karpyshyn where he revealed that, yeah, Zana is actually the one who won. He would have loved to do a Darth Zana story later, but was not able to. He still wants to do a Darth Zana story, which I think is very interesting. But I know this is long-winded. I know not a ton of people are going to watch this because it's not my normal content that I have been doing. But on May 25th, on True Star Wars Day, even though I'm not at home, even though I'm on location, I wanted to do a story about what I feel is much more true to Star Wars than anything we've gotten in the past decade. Let me know your thoughts about this. If you've read this book, let me know your thoughts about it. Do you think I nailed it? Or do you think I overrated it? Do you think I underrated it? Do you not care? Let me know. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks for watching, everyone, and a huge shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram? Check out the description below. You'll find links to my P.O. box and my Patreon as well. And I'll talk to you guys later.